Bonjour à tous, bienvenue à cette masterclass pour WhistlePig. Alors, on parle souvent de l'Amérique du Nord avec les États-Unis, les fameux Bourbons, les fameux Rye, les Wheated Whisky. Là, en l'occurrence, on va aller au Canada. Alors, pour découvrir justement le seigle, travailler d'une autre façon, on est vraiment ravis de pouvoir accueillir WhistlePig. C'est une distillerie incroyable pour ceux qui ne la connaissent pas. Et je vous laisse avec Liz, justement, pour découvrir.
Awesome. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We're going to have an awesome time together for the next 45 minutes. Je m'appelle Liz. That's the best French I've got for you. So bear with me, but thanks for joining. So yeah, I'm Liz. I'm at WhistlePig Whiskey. We're located in Vermont. And here we go. So kind of the story of rye. So show of hands, rye whiskey, fans, familiar with? Yeah? Awesome, okay. So rye is definitely something special, very special liquids. We're gonna walk into it now. Kind of going back, the story of rye. So rye was something that was brought over from Central Europe to the States. It was actually one of the first whiskeys in the US, which is not bourbon. Fun fact. So rye whiskey was one of the first US whiskeys. But it kind of, fell out of fashion. Bourbon obviously kind of took over and was the stronghold in the States. But just kind of going back, our kind of founder, distiller, Dave Pickerel, decided that it's time to bring rye whiskey back because it's awesome. And so that was kind of a big noble experiment there, kind of reintroducing the States and the world on this rye revolution. And so that's what we're about, and that's the journey that we're taking. So kind of tearing up the rule book and reimagining what rye is going to look like. Obviously, again, rye whiskey was the first whiskey in the US, but we said, nah, we're going to do things a little bit differently, and that's kind of our mantra that we do at WhistlePig Whiskey is, taking a nod, saying, rye whiskey is amazing, but we're going to go on our own journey here and really kind of reinvent what that looks like. So yeah, like I said, we're based in Vermont. Anyone know where that is? Kind of, maybe. We're about 3.5 hours south of Montreal. So that's kind of a reference point, maybe, and an hour north of the New York state border. We're definitely off the grid for sure. However, rural Vermont. I love this quote. So Megan Ireland, she's our chief blender. How on earth do we get trucks down here for the deliveries? It's a serious problem. But yeah, so we're rural Vermont. As you can see, we're a farm distillery, which is something really true and special for us. We're located on 500 acres. About 300 of that is dedicated to our crops, which obviously most of that is dedicated to our rye. However, we do grow a little bit of corn, some winter barley, and winter wheat as well. And we sit on a maple forest because it's Vermont. So we sit on about 1,000 taps worth of maple trees. We don't have the maple syrup here for us in this room, but please go to our booth. We are serving up our barrel-aged maple syrup. It's barrel-aged in our used rye casks for about 100 days. So go check that out afterward for a little treat. So yeah, serious problem. We do, because we are Vermont as well, it gets quite snowy. Most of the roads are gravel, as you can kind of see here. And so, yeah, we get trucks that get stuck. So this sentiment here is, how do we get trucks? Well, probably because we're passionate and they're passionate about what we do. So we have good suppliers who make the trek. I'm actually not allowed to drive in winter because my car has gotten stuck in some spots as well. Ooh. So I think it's a video. I don't know if we have... sound there. So we have... Hey, that's me. So as you can see, sort of what our ethos is about is 0 generations. I'm probably the oldest distilling, whiskey making team member, if that gives you any indication. So we're kind of bucking tradition and kind of really saying what happened in the past is not what we're about. And we're leaders in the industry, very innovative. And the fact that we're all a pretty young team and don't have any ties really in the whiskey industry from heritage, that we're able to just take that and go. So a little bit of background, our farm basically was established, the company was established in 2007, which, as you know, a lot of the distilleries out there, 2007, that's young in whiskey years, right? So we take pride in that. Of course, we're located in an old dairy barn. A lot of people ask, where did the name come from? Obviously, we have pigs. Mortimer Jr. and Orwell were the stars of that little video that you just saw. Yeah, we do have our pigs, and they're our pets, and we love them. But before then, old dairy barn, but there was other livestock there as well when it was purchased. However, the name origin here is because there was pigs. There was one pig in particular that liked to sleep a lot, and it made a lot of whistling sounds in the barn. And so that's kind of it. It snored and snoozed, and that sounded like a whistle. So that's kind of the origin story of how we came with our name, essentially. So 2015 is actually when our distillery was built, which is in that same dairy barn that the snoozing pig, Cooney snoozing pig, was found. So yeah, we're a young company, and we're on this innovative journey together. Here, whiskey should be fun. And we take pride in that every single day because it's not about tradition. It's about what are we passionate about? Let's break rules. Let's, break up everything that we know about whiskey. And so I think one of the quotes that, again, our chief blender, Megan Ireland, is, we'll put anything in a barrel once, just to see what happens, because I think that's super important, and that's how you learn and grow. So that's a little bit, about us. Right, so the team, This is, Megan here and Mitch. So they're sort of my right-hand people, key whiskey making team here. Again, like I said, I'm older than them. We're very young. And actually, Megan and I just celebrated birthdays last week, so happy birthday us, I guess. Again, we're always approaching things with wide-eyed curiosity and just kind of exploring what's out there, what's the new thing we can do, but with, of course, staying true to celebrating rye. Again, we are super passionate about our farm and super passionate about celebrating rye. We grow a particular varietal of rye called Denko, which we did a lot of trials on to kind of depict what flavor profile that was going to be. So one of the things that we really like about rye is that spice character. That baking spice, which we're going to walk into in a second. Sorry, I know. We're going to get into the whiskey in a second. So one of the things that we like to harness and celebrate is that spice character. We did a lot of agronomic work to decide what worked best for our profile, for our distillery. So that's a little bit about the team. Okay, so now I think we're going to get into some whiskey. So thank you for bearing with me. A big part of our ethos is, again, celebrating rye, 100% rye, 95% or above, but a lot of our products are 100% rye, which is kind of unheard of, especially if you compare it to bourbon, for example. In most rye content in bourbon is about 20 to 25%. We're talking 95, 100%. So one, that's a big part of our ethos, is celebrating rye. Also, big age statements. So the youngest we have here is 10 years, which is pretty old in terms of US standards, right? Because we're in new casks, new fill, our climate is a little bit different. 10, at 12 and 15, those are super bold, high age statements for us. And most of our lineups are high ABV as well. So we're going to walk through what that looks like. But that's kind of a big part of our ethos, is celebrating rye, big, bold, high age statements, high ABV, in your face, sort of whiskeys. So that's a big part of our ethos as well. So I think it's time to have some whiskey, shall we? So we're going to start off with near. So if everyone can find that, 100% rye, new fill, new cask, chart number 3. Aged, for 10 years, and it's at 50% ABV. So I like to basically start off every tasting. I know we've been tasting whiskeys all weekend. However, I always like to say I have a super, super technical way of appraising whiskeys, and it's called a bunny sniff. I don't know if that translates, but so I'll invite you to just take short little sniffs, and that way you can appraise everything appropriately. After 2 to 3 seconds, your olfactory bulb auto-adjusts. So if you take short little sniffs, that way you can appreciate everything in the glass. Thoughts? Okay, great. so exactly. This one is our flagship whiskey, and it's big, bold, in your face, herbaceous, unapologetic. Anything else? Yay? Yay. Okay, good. Yeah, we use a combination. Sorry, and I forgot to announce that. That's my bad. If there is a question, yeah, we have the mic up there because it's, yeah. So the question, just repeating it, is it always new char, new fill? So we do, and we're gonna, one of the things that we really like to explore as well is finishing. Which we'll walk into with the next two liquids. But yeah, we're always going to put in a new char, new fill. Char 3 or char 1 is kind of what we play in. Thanks. Any other questions on tenure? There's another.
I'm going to ask a lot of questions, I'm sorry.
I love questions. I love answering, so we're good.
About your mashing process and all the wash, the wort basically, how is it done? Do you have like a mash filter, and is the wash very clean, very filtered, or is it very hazy? Yeah.
It's great question. So rye, right? It's laborious. It's very sticky, very gummy, just due to the chemical makeup, pentosands in particular, Arapahoe Islands. We actually are grain in. So that's something that we do in the US. So we ferment in situ or on the grain. So we mash and then everything goes into fermentation and then everything goes into the still. So again, I think you probably saw in the video, we are in a kind of a hybrid still. So basically it's pot, but with a column, we have 8 trays on top of our pot stills. So thanks for the question. Anything else before we move on? Cool. All right, so we're gonna dig in to our next liquid, and I'm gonna skip to our 15-year, actually. So we're not gonna go in a chronological order, and there's a very fine reason for that, which I'll dig into in a hot sec. So we're gonna move, to the 15-year, aged 15 years, and it's finished actually in Vermont oak. So one of the things that we're super proud of is our terroir, which means a little bit of a different thing for us in the whiskey space versus wine, for example. So triple terroir, celebrating our grain that's grown on the farm, our water, and then also our oak. What's that? Number 3, yeah. Thank you. Yes, so those 3 things, triple terroir, that means it's super special for us. Being in the Champlain Valley, our oak is a lot different. As you can imagine, our climate is a lot different than Kentucky, for example. So what that translates into the expression here is the rings, the annual growth rings are a little bit different. So we get more early wood versus late wood, if people are familiar with growth rings. Just because simply our climate is colder. And how that translates is we get more wood sugars and more lignin and less tannins. And that combined with our specific toast and char profile, it comes across as I say, toasted marshmallow, which may not translate well, but I find this liquid to be super special because it's really harnessing our ingredients at our farm. So, cheers. Thoughts, questions?
Hi. Is it this 15 years old 100% rye as well?
Yes.
Okay. And you said it's matured in local oak?
Yeah, so
Or
it's
the finish?
finished.
Okay.
Yeah, after the 15-year maturation, then we finish it in our local oak. Yeah, Vermont oak.
Okay, great. And is it the same species, Quercus alba, white oak?
Yes, American.
They have in
Yep.
American. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
About the cask strength, when it comes out of the still, do you reduce it? First, how strong is it when it comes out of the still, and then how strong is it in the cask?
Yeah, great question. So we're about 135 proof, and then we take that down to about 105, 110. Anything else? Thoughts? Okay. All right, we're going to move on now to the 12-year. So again, the 15 is at 92 proof, and then we're stepping down to about 86. Still higher ABV, celebrating the whiskey, as we do. This one's special. This one's special as well. We're doing a finishing on this one as well. Again, that's how we like to innovate and explore different flavor profiles. So it is aged for 12 years, and then we're finishing it in 3 different wine casks. So Madeira, Sauternes, and Port. 63, 30, and 7 is the blend, respectively. And that's finished for about 6 to 8 weeks. So definitely we're getting a lot sweeter, dried fruit, apple pie, some of those notes. So again, still celebrating that rye, but kind of taking an exploration and celebrating the wine as well. So finishing with this one because it is more of a dessert. Questions on this one?
No, it works. Yeah, thank you. I'm just very surprised by all your whiskies because despite the fact it's all new oak and it's quite old, you always get more of the rye character than the wood character. And you have this herbaceousness and graininess that is really cool, I think. And My question was also, do you think that grains-in fermentation, like you told me before, enhance this character? Or, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely a great question there. Grain in, so an in situ, I definitely think that we do get more extraction of those compounds. So the precursor compound in rye is a class of compounds called hydroxycinnamic acids. And I do feel like we get a better extraction of that, and leading into fermentation, it's able, for the yeast to kind of metabolize those compounds into that spice character. So I do believe that, yep. Any other comments, questions?
Hello, sorry, technical question. So what is the average of the temperature all year long? The average of the temperature when you keep all your barrel, when you age your barrel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, again, I mentioned earlier on 10-year, our youngest whiskey is 6 years. We're 6 years and above. And I kind of mentioned big age statements those are quite old in US terms because, quite simply, we do get that cycling, the temperature cycling from summer hot and cold, so we're able to kind of push the whiskey in and out of the barrel. It's not something we monitor. I think that was your question. We just let nature do nature. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, so okay.
It's me again. I have a question regarding distillation. What's your approach? Are you looking for high reflux? High, I don't know. What's your approach?
Yeah, so because we are batch continuous, or hybrid, if you will, we're in pot stills, but we have 8 trays and a defumator as well. So we do get quite a bit of reflux on our side. So that's definitely something that we like about our distillation methods. It's kind of the best of both worlds. We're not continuous. We're not strictly column. We also have that pot element. So it's artisan, and we're still making cuts. We're still monitoring the chronology of distillation, but we do get the benefit is we do get quite a bit of reflux, which we feel like helps the profile. So, a fun thing, between the 12 and 15 year, it's polarizing actually internally. Some people prefer 12 and some people prefer 15. Like I said, Megan, she prefers 12. And I prefer 15. So it's a dispute at the distillery. So maybe we'll do a fun exercise. Show of hands, 12. Okay. And 15. Yes. So you're in my set of things. So again, 15 is my favorite of the range. However, we're always innovating. So who knows? I could have a new favorite any day. Any other questions? I think we walked. Yeah. Thank you.